LPIC-3. Virtualization and Containerization 305-300 exam dumps are the best material for you to study all the related exam topics. Share some LPI 305-300 exam dumps here. 1. Which of the following tasks are part of a hypervisor's responsibility? Choose 2. A. Create file systems during the installation of new virtual machine Quest operating systems. B. Provide host-wide unique PIDs to the processes running inside the virtual machines in order to ease inter-process communication between virtual machines. C. Map the resources of virtual machines to the resources of the host system. D. Manage authentication to network services running inside a virtual machine. E. Isolate the virtual machines and prevent unauthorized access to resources of other virtual machines. 2. How can data be shared between several virtual machines running on the same Linux-based host system? A. By writing data to the file system, since all virtual machines on the same host system use the same file system. B. By mounting other virtual machines' file systems from dev. virt disks, remote. C. By setting up a RAM disk in one virtual machine and mounting it using its UUID in the other VMs. D. By using a network file system or file transfer protocol. E. By attaching the same virtual hard disk to all virtual machines and activating ext4 sharing extensions on it. 3. Which functionality is provided by Vagrant as well as by Docker? Choose 3. A. Both can share directories from the host file system to a guest. B. Both start system images as containers instead of virtual machines by default. C. Both can download required base images. D. Both can apply changes to a base image. E. Both start system images as virtual machines instead of containers BV default. 4. Which of the following kinds of data can Cloud Init process directly from user data? Choose 3. A. Shell scripts to execute. B. Lists of URLs to import. C. ISO images to boot from. D. Cloud config declarations in YAML. E. Base64 encoded binary files to execute. 5. What is the purpose of the packer inspect subcommand? A. Retrieve files from an existing packer image. B. Execute commands within a running instance of a packer image. C. List the artifacts created during the build process of a packer image. D. Show usage statistics of a packer image. E. Display an overview of the configuration contained in a packer template. 6. What is the purpose of the kubelet service in Kubernetes? A. Provide a command line interface to manage Kubernetes. B. Build a container image as specified in a Docker file. C. Manage permissions of users when interacting with the Kubernetes API. D. Run containers on the worker nodes according to the Kubernetes configuration. E. Store and replicate Kubernetes configuration data. 7. What is the purpose of a Docker ignore file? A. It lists files existing in a Docker image which should be excluded when building a derivative image. B. It specifies files that Docker does not submit to the Docker daemon when building a Docker image. C. It exists in the root file system of containers that should ignore volumes and ports provided by Docker. D. It must be placed in the top-level directory of volumes that Docker should never attach automatically to a container. E. It specifies which parts of a Docker file should be ignored when building a Docker image. 8. Which of the following commands deletes all volumes which are not associated with a container? A. Docker volume cleanup. B. Docker volume orphan. D. C. Docker volume prune. D. Docker volume vacuum. E. Docker volume garbage collect. 9. What kind of virtualization is implemented by LXC? A. System containers. B. Application containers. C. Hardware containers. D. CPU emulation. E. Paravirtualization. 10. Which of the following statements are true about container-based virtualization? Choose 2. A. Each container runs its own operating system kernel. B. Different containers may use different distributions of the same operating system. C. Container-based virtualization relies on hardware support from the host system's CPU. D. All containers run within the operating system kernel of the host system. E. Linux does not support container-based virtualization because of missing kernel APIs.